'Cause all we do is ride motorcycles all day, every day. Are you filming? You ready? Oh my God. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Ducati Biker channel. We're here in beautiful Amsterdam, as you can tell in these canals. I have this lovely monster in front of me, and there's these really two beautiful poodle dogs behind us. They're gonna come in action, and I really think it's cute. I think we should talk about these dogs as they walk by because they're beautiful dogs. Yeah, thank you. You see, yeah, beautiful dogs, beautiful bike. This one? This could go about, 190 kilometers, almost 200, yeah, something like that. Oh, thank you. Dankjewel, meneer. Lovely dogs, huh? Yeah, it's heel mooi. Yeah, a Ducati Amsterdam. It's a monster. It's a Ducati. Of course. Oh yeah, geen helemaal. It's the best. Oh ja, zeker, for sure. The monster. Hey, wel dankjewel, hè? En de mooi. Huh? Nee, niet de Harley. It's well, this is a 950 monster, so yeah. Yeah, it's all good. All in the right place and time. Oh, goed zo. I like Range Rover. Yeah. Hey, dankjewel, hè. Fijne dag. Bye, puppies. We're definitely going to start the monster video that way, because that just shows you the love of the city, the characters, the people. He was a rider, obviously. He was talking about a Harley, but he recognized the Ducati because of its colors and its red. So now, here we are with the new 2022 Monster 950. And they've been so generous to lend us this one from Ducati Amsterdam, and we're here in the canal shooting, talking about it. And if you haven't already subscribed, click that button, because we just talked about the Hypermotard and we just talked about why we're here in Amsterdam. Either way, there's so much to talk about. That being said, the new Monster, what do I think about it? Is it my first time riding it? No. Back 2 years ago, I was invited by Ducati Benelux and Zuid-Bommel to ride this when it just got released. I was there with Chantal, all my other friends. It's in my YouTube. Go back, you'll see it. We were some of the first people to ride this new Monster in the Netherlands, and we were blessed with the sun. It was beginning of April. It's like April 1st. I remember because I was touring from Amsterdam all the way to France, and I stopped at Zuid-Bommel to demo this bike. Again, everyone's just like stopping, looking. They love this bike. Amsterdam is just full of people who are curious about Ducatis, and that's why we're here, and that's why we're talking about this bike. Either way, I rode it, I liked it. They said, Milan, on the circuit, don't go too crazy. So I was being gentle and I was being generous, and it was also the first time I was riding the Angel GT2s, because it was salty and wet when we rode this bike in April. It's still not the best weather in April, but it gets to be springtime and summer. That being said, I rode it, I liked it. And the reason why, most people are gonna be like, oh, but it's a Monster, this and that. And yeah, there's a reason why I'm not riding the Monster, but there's a reason why I would ride this one. And the reason why is because it has the same motor as the Hypermotard 950. So immediately when I hopped on this bike, I was like, oh, Monster, of course it's great, it has a dash and anything like that. And I love all Ducatis, and I could feel why they made this bike for the people and the level of rider. And I thought, surely, since I love hypers and multis and Panigales, that this would be a base level entry bike, and I was completely wrong. This bike is so much fun, and I think it's due to the fact that they put the motor, the Hypermotard in here, the 950, but then they changed the ergonomics. So you can have both feet on the ground. You could kind of whip it around. You have this like crackling pop sound of the dual exhaust on the side. Good room for a passenger. You have your electronics. And then the thing that blew me away as well is I have had the 950 SP Hypermotard. And as you know, every time you're on that bike, it's all about launching and wheeling and being a hooligan. And this bike has launch control. And I was like, what? How could my Hypermotard not have launch control? And this bike has launch control. And I absolutely loved it, because I was like able to try it like a few times and test it. And it was just so much fun. Like, I was able to go down the strip, pop it in launch control. I think there's like 3 different settings. So you have to do it you have 3 different times before the motor has to cool down. And so that was the thing that I was testing out with that. It was really cool. But either way, there's some things that this bike has that the Hyper does not. And I was like really excited about that. And then I rode it with Chantal, and then I rode it with Edwin and a few other people. And it was so fun. We were giggling because we were just so happy how this bike made us feel. And then they got me thinking. I was like, okay, well, sure, I'll own a Monster now. What could I do? How could I accessorize it? And then they came out with all these different colors and graphics, and you could get a full Termi system, and it sounds amazing, a tail tidy. And the bike actually started to trickle back and look like the original Monster. And I like the new Halo LED right here because it's really pretty. But some people were upset that the trellis frame was gone, and I get that. And they're like, okay, this is the new Monster. We're not going to get it because we're going to wait for the new 1200S Monster to come out, because all the owners who own the Monster 1200S, in my opinion, are not going to go for this bike because they want the Öhlins, they want the single slice swing arm, and they want that 1200S motor, which is really, really cool. But either way, this makes up for a new category of fun, a different version of a Monster, but also has, as I was saying, has launch control and all these things in the motor of the Hyper, and I could just go crazy with it. But more importantly, someone who's a beginner, who's never ridden a Ducati before, or maybe like a scrambler or like a dirt bike or something like that, they could hop on this bike, they could change the electronics and the settings in the mode to where it's more comfortable, and you could ride it with ease. It's so nice to cruise around. You don't have to be abrupt, it doesn't have to come up from underneath you. You cruise it around, it has really good balance, again, both feet on the ground, so it's a really enjoyable bike for someone who wants to push the limits and develop a little bit more in the future to become an advanced rider or an expert rider, because you can do expert things on this bike, but also just wants to be part of the Ducati family, the Ducatista, you know, pull up somewhere, have the Monster, feel it with the lights and motor, because honestly, like, being a Ducatista, as you know, just from the beginning, it just starts with the Desmodronic valve system and sitting on the bike and the motor and the sound and the feel and all that stuff. So they give you a new bike with always keeping the Ducati feel and that love and that passion. So it's interesting when we get to review different bikes, because you can't compare different Ducatis. They all do their own thing, but they all complement each other in a certain way with similar features, different features, but also the motion and the feeling when riding it. Because like I said, this bike's great. It doesn't look like the Hyper, but when I ride it like the Hyper, and it feels like the Hyper. So it's enjoyable. We're here, we're in Amsterdam. Would I buy this bike and have this bike? Yes, after I had all my other ones. Do I recommend someone to buy this bike? Yes, I do. The person who I recommend to ride this bike would be someone who was either really short, because you could get up on over here, and you can see both my feet are planted on the ground. So for me, like, the bike drops, might hit a post or something, right? I got it like that, same way. So when my friends hop on a bike, or a girl does, I'll just have them sit like this, and I'll push them, and I'll make sure they hold the bike like this, right or left. So that's a good indication, a good sign that for someone who is either short, but also really tall. Tall people who've never ridden before, they can maybe feel a little lengthy because they're tall and they get blown around from the wind because they're a little bit torso height tall. Either way, that being said, they like to have their feet planted on the floor, so that gives them an indication, and that gives them the comfortability of being able to just like lift the bike if they stall. Most beginners, yes, you're going to come to a corner, you're going to lay out the clutch, and you're going to pull up, probably stall. And if you're top heavy, you're going to go tip, 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 and the bike's going to tip, and you're going to lay it over. On a bike like this, not so much at all. So it makes it really nice that it has those beginner features, and that's who I would point this bike to. But then again, the motor of the 950 is in here. So how do you tame that beast of a motor for someone who isn't ready for this caliber of bike? And that's when the electronics come in. And I recommend you ask your local Ducati dealership that when you leave, depending on your level, or if you've ridden different motorcycles or Ducatis before, that they explain you the electronics on this bike. That being said, with all the features, all the safety features, all the hooligan features, it's time to ride this bike. I have my Italian mister somewhere, he's riding the Hyper up and down the canals. We're about to jump on both these bikes, both the Monster 950 and then the Hyper 950 RVE. And we're gonna give you a really cool point of view of what it's like driving up and down through the canals and riding these bikes and commuting and the whole lifestyle in Amsterdam. So huge thanks to Ducati Amsterdam for lending us these bikes, and huge thanks to Ducati Benelux. We just can't wait to explore Amsterdam. It's a beautiful weather, it's August, the sun is out, people are out, everyone's laughing and smiling, and it just feels so warm and great to be back. And thank you for all love and support. Let's hit the road. All right, let me grab my helmet.